Before we carried lenses in our pockets, preserving a memory took deliberate effort. You'd pose, wait for the flash, and eventually hold a physical print in your hands. Almost all of those moments were captured on one brand of film. In the 1970s and 80s, Kodak commanded nearly 90% of US film sales. They practically owned the concept of photography. Managing that level of dominance requires a specific corporate mindset. When a company controls 90% of a market for decades, every internal process is designed to keep the world exactly as it is. This stability creates a profound cognitive blind spot. The very success that made Kodak a global icon also made it impossible for them to imagine a world where their core product didn't exist. The threat to Kodak's empire was sitting inside their own laboratory. In 1975, a young engineer named Sasson was experimenting with a new image sensor technology, wiring together a completely new kind of machine. The result was the world's first digital camera. It weighed nearly 9 pounds, took over 20 seconds to record a single blurry image, and looked more like a toaster than a consumer product. Yet Kodak held the patents for it. They paid the engineers who built it. They possessed the total origin of digital photography. This raises the central question: why would a company with the resources to own the future choose to suppress it? When Sasson showed his prototype to Kodak executives, they were largely confused. They asked him why anyone would ever want to look at their family photos on a television screen instead of a physical print. Kodak's power came from chemistry. The camera was merely the delivery mechanism for their true high-margin product, yellow boxes of film. The financial tension is clear. The film model on the left relies on a one-time camera purchase, followed by paying for rolls and chemicals for life. The digital model on the right is a one-time hardware sale with no consumables. As digital adoption climbs, recurring film revenue peters out. Every digital photo taken destroyed a portion of Kodak's most profitable business. The decision to bury the digital camera was a logical response to an impossible choice. Embracing the future meant intentionally dismantling the division that was generating billions of dollars in profit. Kodak spent billions of dollars on digital research throughout the 80s, quietly stockpiling patents and hiring the best minds in the field. But their strategy was purely defensive. They treated digital technology as a novelty to drive more physical film printing, rather than accepting it as a total replacement for the darkroom. Meanwhile, brands like Sony were operating without those constraints. With no legacy film business to protect, they were free to iterate wildly on hardware, dropping products like the digital Mavica directly into the consumer market. Forcing a new technology to serve an old, obsolete business model leaves a company vulnerable to anyone who is willing to start from scratch. The shift accelerated in the 1990s. Personal computers and the early internet suddenly gave families a practical way to store and share images without ever using paper. Disruption often follows this path, a long period of quiet adoption among hobbyists, followed by a sudden mass-market pivot that leaves legacy companies behind. Kodak watched this shift, but hesitated to fully pivot until their competitors, like Canon, had already established insurmountable leads in the digital SLR market. By the time a legacy company realizes a market shift is mandatory, the window to lead that market has usually closed. The collapse was rapid. A century of dominance vanished in a decade as factories closed, thousands of jobs were cut, and the stock price fell to nearly zero. In 2012, the king of photography filed for bankruptcy. The business was ended by the very digital technology it had patented 37 years earlier. Kodak possessed the engineers, the patents, and the vision to lead the digital age. They simply had too much to lose by actually using them. Success became a trap. The cost of protecting the past eventually eclipsed the value of the entire company, proving that the most expensive mistake in business is refusing to let go.